super into it today. All right. The intelligence of life. Everything is determined, the beginning as well as the end, by forces over which we have no control. It is determined for the insect as well as for the star, human beings, vegetables, or cosmic dust. We all dance to a mysterious tune, intoned in the distance by an invisible piper. Albert Einstein. That's pretty cool. I've never heard of that one. I like it. All right. In 2012, I was invited to be a speaker at the first TEDx conference on Maui. As I sat in the audience listening to the other speakers, one of them, author and scientist Dr. Gary Greenberg, said something that caught my attention. Every cell has a job. As I sat with that statement, I realized how profound it was. Cardiac cells pump blood. Red blood cells deliver oxygen. White blood cells fight infection. Fat cells store excess energy. And immune cells attack foreign organisms. What struck me deeply was the recognition that each of us, like these cells, also has a job to fulfill. I often said that we are each like different kinds of trees. Some trees are tall, thin, and sway easily, while others have thicker trunks and less elasticity. Some trees are inviting because they bear fruit or flowers, while others encourage caution with their protective thorns. Like trees, we are all different and serve a unique function in maintaining the fullness and balance of life. As the great Indian sage Ramana Maharshi said, one comes into existence for a certain purpose. And I think this, aside, I think that I'm going to listen to these. I love listening to books before bed. So I think I'll listen to these, and I'm going to probably wake myself up laughing at how many times I can't pronounce a word. Okay, back to it. One comes into existence for a certain purpose. And the intelligence of life is constantly keeping us on course. Visionaries throughout history seem to agree that the universe is continuously activating and regulating itself in accordance with some unseen harmony. And we are an intricate part of that dance. So, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something that someone shared with me today. It was a Matrix video. And they were talking about how when Morpheus talks about how there's something unknown, but we feel it, or at least he was saying that to Neo, and that's what's making me think of that. Okay, according to the philosophy of Stoicism, established by Zeno of Citium in the 4th century BCE, the entire cosmos is organized by an ordering force. The human being also contains such an organizing and guiding element. Echoing this ancient philosophy, Mahatma Gandhi writes, "There is a force in the universe which, if we permit it, will flow through us and produce miraculous results. Our lives are animated and guided by the same force that moves the planets in our solar system through their orbit. I now know that my life's purpose is to help others see. The intelligence of life helped me realize this by creating experiences from the time of my birth that supported me in discovering who I am and what I'm here to share. It all began with my name." Judaism places great importance on naming a child, as it is believed that a person's name represents their connection both to previous generations and to their destiny. Among Eastern European Jews, it is customary to name a child after a deceased relative as a way of honoring the ancestor as well as perpetuating their essence. My birth name, Jacob Israel Lieberman, is the same as my grandfather's. I am the son of Joseph Chaim Lieberman. I'm botching that, I'm sorry. And a descendant of the tribe of Levi, or the Levites, spiritual leaders is designated for divine service. As I have journeyed through life, I have learned that Jacob Israel accurately describes who I am, my life's experiences, and my purpose for being. I could not relate to my birth name early in life, and then in 1988, at the age of 40, that's when most spiritual people come into their knowing, or their learning. Actually, it's when they're kind of sparked. I had an epiphany while attending a lecture about biblical prophets and how they dealt with hard times. The psychiatrist speaking said that after the prophet Jacob wrestled a man with paternal strength, he was dubbed Israel because he had struggled with both man and God and had prevailed. Having gone through a devastating divorce, followed by 6 years of severe panic attacks, I could definitely relate to the Jacob he described. While teaching in Israel in 1992, I had an experience that further illuminated the relationship between my name and my destiny. One evening, while I was being driven to the city of TZFAT, my hosts got lost. As they pulled over to look at the map, a sliver of light appeared from behind the door of a nearby house. We knocked in hopes of getting directions. A man with long gray hair and a beard answered. My host introduced himself and his wife, and then told the man that I was visiting from the United States and that my name was Jacob Israel. The man looked deep into my eyes and said, "I have been waiting for you," and he invited us in. For the next few hours, he explained that in Jewish mysticism, the tree of life is the central symbol of the esoteric teachings of Kabbalah, and that the prophet Jacob occupies the most central position on the tree, integrating qualities of giving and receiving with heaven and earth. Jacob, he said, means heel of the foot or connection with the earth. Israel means top of the head or connection with the heavens. In other words, Israel means to be aligned with God. When Jacob became Israel, he said, that was the moment of his enlightenment. He realized that by keeping a direct connection with the divine, his path would always be illuminated. He then presented me with a beautiful Star of David that he said he made for me, even though we had just met. Later that evening, I remembered my father always advising me to travel the straight road. I wondered if that was his way of reminding me to always remain true to my highest calling. Another example of how my life's journey helped me see what my unique contribution was meant to be involved the miraculous healing of my vision in 1976. During my daily meditation, which I had been practicing for a few years, I experienced seeing in a way that I could not understand or describe at the time. Oh, this will be interesting, I think. Hold on. My eyes were closed, but I could see the entire room, including myself, with total, almost shimmering clarity. It felt as if I were an infinite field of eyes, seeing from all vantage points simultaneously. This was not just optical clarity. There was also a deep awareness present, devoid of all questions and answers, a sense of knowing without a knower. I felt as though I had become the sky. When I opened my eyes, I could see perfectly. I drove to my office to check my eyes. My eyesight had improved 300%. Yet the optical measurements of my eyes had not changed at all. To this day, I still do not know how it happened. Yet somehow I experienced effortless seeing from a source beyond my eyes, with no point of view. I then stopped looking and started seeing what was beyond mere sight and began to correlate those discoveries to share with others. Although that revelation occurred 40 years ago, I can still see well without glasses. I am still sharing my insights about seeing, being, and living. This is my life's work, what I love to do, and my reason for being. All right. We're going to take a sip. And here we go. How we receive the intelligence of life. Oh, gosh. The Bible states that God is light. John 1:5. God, who is omnipotent. Job 9:4-10. Omnipotent. And Psalms, I don't know any of these, you guys. I'm sorry. And omnipresent, created the heavens and the earth, and created human beings in the divine image. What is fascinating about biblical descriptions of God is that quantum physicists, using different terms, describe light in the same way. They state that light is the foundation of everything that exists and behaves as if it is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. In essence, everything we experience in life as matter is the formed expression of a formless essence called light. And human beings are holographic focal points of that light. When the light of God, the invisible light physicists refer to as the ground of reality, interacts and merges with our inner light, the light of consciousness, we are instantaneously activated into a receptive state called presence or coherent guidance, which naturally provides the next step in our life's journey. This inner light is not only a universal metaphor for health and awareness, but also a quantifiable phenomenon. It is well documented that all living organisms, including humans, emit a measurable low-intensity glow known as biophoton emission that reflects one's state of wellness or illness before every biochemical reaction. Without this emission of inner light, the intra and intercellular communications and the biochemical reactions that catalyze to keep our life in balance would not occur. The greater the degree of cellular and organismic harmony, the more the body, like a battery, holds on to its light energy, and the lower the biophoton emission. In addition to the biophoton emission released by all living organisms, more than half of all marine organisms, from plankton to sharks, and up to 80% of ray-finned fishes, make their own light to lure prey. What? I didn't know that. Discourage predators and attract mates and communicate. For example, scientists from the American Museum of Natural History recently discovered that certain creatures absorb light and then re-emit it as a different color. According to researchers, the glow produced by this re-emitted light, called biofluorescence, biofluorescence, there was a hyphen there, sorry, increases in contrast so that fish can communicate with one another. That's awesome. Humans also absorb light and re-emit it as different colors in the biofield or aura, which appears as a subtle fluorescent or iridescent luminous field surrounding a person. Based on many years of my observation of this phenomenon, it appears that the light we absorb and the light we radiate reflects our physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual state of wellness. Our beliefs and our emotions are associated with them affect the way we relate to the light spectrum, coloring both our world and our aura. However, most of us do not notice this subtle indicator of one's state of being because, for most of us, our natural ability to see auras is undeveloped. Hey, girl, hey! You have a bright... Oh, I love you. Thank you. You do too. The last 2 chapters, Lydia, are incredible. I pause many times because it's making me think of the cellular wellness book that you're reading. Yeah, so, okay, continuing. Since the human body consists of approximately 37 trillion cells, we are constantly communicating and collaborating with each other at unimaginable speeds. A cell's ability to literally see the intelligence encoded in the light is crucial to every aspect of our health and wellness. This ability is the obvious importance in complex biological processes such as photosynthesis in plants, or when a photon of light interacts with the eye, initiating the process of vision. But new research published in the journal Science has captured the most detailed picture to date of almost instantaneous process by which a photosensitive protein in purple bacteria responds to light's guidance by acting as an eye. Using the world's most powerful X-ray laser, along with the world's fastest camera, German scientist and professor Marius Schmidt and his colleagues, along with researchers from the SLAC National Accelerator Laboratory, captured the subtle changes in the configuration of a photosensitive yellow protein occurring as fast as 100 quadrillionths of a second. I can't even comprehend that, you guys. That is 1,000 times faster than earlier results. This important discovery reveals how this initial response to light creates a domino effect in the protein, setting the stage for its biological function. Prior to these findings, researchers had never observed the crucial details of how biomolecules respond to light. The immediate way our cells respond to light is only the beginning of this miraculous discovery, because we are each a cell within the organism called the universe. We are designed to infinitely communicate and cooperate with one another. How beautiful is that? This process reveals that we live in a relational universe where everything is intimately connected with everything else. Heart to heart. Modern science has confirmed that at a fundamental level, we are inseparable. We are facets of the same organism, continually affecting and being affected by each other. As German writer and politician Johann Wolfgang von Goethe writes, "So divinely is the world organized that every one of us, in our place and time, is in balance with everything else." According to theoretical physicist David Bohm, everything is connected to everything else and affected instantaneously by everything that happens to everything else. In essence, relationship is the most fundamental aspect of existence. In his book, The Hidden Life of Trees, Peter Wohlleben, that's Wohlleben, describes trees in the forest as social beings. They can count, learn, remember, nurse sick neighbors, and warn each other of danger. And for reasons unknown, keep the ancient stumps of long-felled companions alive for centuries by feeding them sugar solution through their roots. Sometimes pairs are so interconnected at the roots that when one tree dies, the other one dies too. In humans, the ability to meaningfully connect with others is primarily a function of the heart. We often speak of this ability as having a heart-to-heart connection. Scientists have long believed that the brain is the conductor of the body's symphony, instructing the body on what to do, when to do it, and to what degree. But research conducted at the Institute of Heart Math has demonstrated not only that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain sends to the heart, but that these heart-generated signals significantly affect brain function. Side note, I mean, it's coming out more and more and more now, so it's not such brand new news, but the amount of energy produced as far as your energetic signature when you're in your heart space as opposed to your mind space is like so much more. So much more. I love this section. Okay. The heart generates the body's most powerful and extensive electromagnetic field. 60 times, there it is, 60 times greater in amplitude than that of the brain. In addition, the heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain's and can be detected several feet away from the body. This makes sense when you consider that the heart reflects our emotional state. In training our physiological, my eyes are going like crooked right now. In training our physiology as well as the physiology of those around us. When we are feeling love, intimacy, gratitude, or appreciation, our heart creates a contagious frequency of harmony. But when our life is in an uproar, our heart rhythm patterns reflect that as well, giving new meaning to the expression speaking from the heart. In his book, Love and Survival, the scientific basis for the healing power of intimacy, Dr. Dean Ornish writes, I am not aware of any other factor in medicine, not diet, smoking, not exercise, not stress, not genetics, not drugs, not surgery, that has had a greater impact on our quality of life, incident of illness, and premature death from all causes than love and intimacy. The love and intimacy Ornish describes is a yearning for oneness that is inherent to the matrix of life. Everything in the universe has a reason for being, and it is inseparably connected and directed by the same intelligence. When we recognize that our bond is the source of our individual and collective potential, we breathe easier, feel a deep sense of relief, and experience the unconditional love and intimacy that binds us. I'm laughing because earlier when I was reading, I was talking about a video that a friend had shared earlier today about the Matrix. And there it shows up. This book has a lot of that. Seeing with our hearts. Over my many years of training physicians and other in the healthcare field, I have always said, don't work with anyone you don't love. The reason is simple. The relationship between the individual offering assistance and the one receiving it is the most potent aspect of the healing process. When we experience authentic love and caring, we naturally relax and trust that we are in good hands. It is the power of that connection that melts our fears, helping us see a problem as a blessing in disguise. I had the pleasure of working with a young woman who allowed me to symbolically hold her hand as she gradually transformed a crisis into an opportunity, unearthing the profound healing power of love and intimacy. In 2012, I was contacted by the mother of a 16-year-old undergoing a health crisis. Her daughter had experienced a series of bad headaches over a couple days, followed by dizzy spells, nausea, and an acute loss of vision. Her mother took her to a physician, then to an optometrist who did a series of tests but could not find anything wrong. The girl was referred to an ophthalmologist and then a neurologist who ordered a CT scan, an MRI, and some blood tests. The results were all negative. A chiropractor, a craniosacral therapist, it's an interesting word, also treated her, but nothing changed. By then, the girl had grown concerned because she was otherwise quite healthy and had not been under an inordinate amount of stress. Every doctor said she should be seeing fine, but she was not. During the first meeting, I checked the young woman's visual acuity and found that she was legally blind. She was only able to see the big E on the eye chart. As she described her symptoms, I had an intuition that there was something significant about the year 2006 in her life. Well, I had no idea where this notion came from or if it was even relevant. I asked if anything traumatic had happened then. Though she could not recall anything herself, her mother said that her daughter's grandmother had died that year. In that moment, her tears began to flow, and our work together commenced with a gentle light therapy protocol and a very weak 0.50 pair of reading glasses that were meant to soften the world. Here is her account of our first week of treatment. The first time I looked at the turquoise light, I started to think about my grandma and cried. I realized that I hadn't really had a chance to cry when she died. When everyone was saying their goodbyes to Grandma, I often left the room to cry because I didn't want anyone to see me. The crying continued for the next 5 days before all the pain, guilt, and feelings I had pushed down were able to finally surface again. After 9 days of light therapy, she was seeing 100% better. So I suggested she do the treatment twice a day and continue wearing the glasses. She told me that the turquoise light was now her friend because it helped her remember all the things she previously did not want to feel. She said, as the emotions came up, sometimes I cried, sometimes I laughed, and sometimes I just looked at the light. If I had a rough day at school, I would just let out the feelings I was keeping in. If that light were a person, it would know how I felt about everything. As she continued the treatment, her vision improved. She felt more relaxed and was able to more easily express herself. By the time she completed her light therapy, her outlook on life had changed. She was seeing 400% better. I didn't realize you could get over 100%, but okay. So I was seeing 400% better. I was able to adapt to new situations with greater ease and no longer felt that it was her responsibility to take care of others. Instead, she now enjoyed making them laugh. While working with this young woman, I recognized how easy it is to discount or override the invisible guidance we receive. In fact, this guidance can, at times, have life-changing effects when shared. When I asked if anything traumatic had happened in 2006, that was not a thought I had, but a hint I was given. It opened the door that allowed greater trust for both of us, facilitating a series of events that may have altered the course of this young woman's life. Okay, only 3.5 more pages to go. It's quite a bit, actually, when you're reading out loud. Okay, the guiding hand. Our lives grow richer as we focus less on the visible world and more on the invisible one. We become increasingly aware of the calling that moves us to look in a certain direction. that lead wave within the ocean of awareness that points our compass towards its next directive. Sometimes we speak of individuals who can tap into this level of seeing as intuitive or psychic. Yet we have all had experiences like these. You are sitting at your desk and suddenly an image of someone flashes into your mind. Without a thought, you pick up the phone, dial their number, and then when the person on the other end hears your voice, they say, "I was just thinking about you." Or perhaps your phone rings and it is the very person that you were just sensing, confirming a connection you feel that transcends the boundaries of the rational mind. I find it interesting that that is the one kind of universal way of describing the intuitive connection that we have within each of us. It's it's always everywhere. That's the one thing that everybody goes to. In 1986, I had an unusual experience that solidified my sense of our inseparability. I was taking a shower when suddenly I felt a sharp pain in my heart and started sobbing. Immediately, I knew that Elliot, my dear friend, colleague, and mentor, had died. I stepped out of the shower, soaking wet, walked to the telephone in my bedroom, and dialed his number in New York. His wife answered, at which time I said, "Libby, when did he die?" She said, "Jacob, how did you know? He passed just moments ago." So often in life, we focus on things we want to accomplish, missing the subtleties directing our journey. But it is in these whispers that the real magic lies. After working with thousands of people, I have come to realize that my job is not necessarily to identify and solve problems, but rather to gently recede into the background and allow the intelligence of life to guide the process, serving as an intermediary between the formless information received and the well-being of the patient. I have come to discover that by doing less, more happens. And by doing nothing, everything happens. Much like the Taoist concept of Wei Wu Wei, which I will discuss in Chapter 8, doing nothing does not imply that nothing happens. We simply allow something larger to lead, which reinforces our trust in the wisdom of life. 17th century priest, physician, and mystic Angelus Silius expressed this concept eloquently when he said, "God, whose love and joy are present everywhere, can't come to visit unless you aren't there." 17th century French playwright Molière said, "If we leave nature alone, she recovers gently from the disorders into which she has fallen. It is our anxiety, our impatience, which spoils all, and nearly all men die of their remedies, not of their diseases." We live in a universe designed to function in the most economical way, whether we are discussing the workings of the body, Mother Nature, or the universe as a whole. That means that life is super efficient and operates with the least amount of effort. The least amount of effort is the state called presence. The healing experiences shared in this chapter illustrate how the power of presence provides each of us the wisdom to be instruments of the divine. Wisdom has no author. It moves through us anonymously. The intelligence of life effortlessly directs nature and all its inhabitants. As this guidance moves through us, our personality disappears, and what remains is a contagious radiance, entraining everything and everyone into a state of wellness. All right, last one. Spontaneous healing. Not long ago, I was sitting in the steam room of a local spa when I noticed a man walking outside. He was holding on to the wall and walked as if he was visually or physically challenged. He then entered the steam room very carefully, sat down, and introduced himself. After coughing for several minutes, he told me that he had had a condition similar to multiple sclerosis that significantly affected his gross and fine motor coordination, speech, and most of his internal functions. He also told me that he was a teacher and writer for years prior to receiving the diagnosis of his illness. He asked me what I did. I told him that I was working on a new book about how life always guides us to do what we know by heart. At this point, he began to share passionately about his interest, and as I listened attentively, he literally transformed before my eyes. His speech cleared, his balance and coordination normalized, his face appeared less inflamed, and his eyes became clear and sparkly. He was no longer the man I had met just 45 minutes earlier. When he finished speaking, I told him that he had a great deal of wisdom and needed to teach again. When he shared his passion for what he knew by heart, it was as if his disease had miraculously disappeared. This is what can happen when our passion is ignited and we feel unconditional love for one another and for life itself. According to A Course in Miracles, miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. In recognizing our life's purpose and inseparable connection with all that exists, we embrace the great mystery illuminating our journey, becoming a living expression of presence and the love and the caring that flows from it. Up to this point, I have shared how the intelligence of life, encoded in light, continually guides our eyes, our physiology, and our lives. It evolves our humanity and instills an ongoing state of contentment. When most people think of light, however, they imagine the illumination created by the sun. But how do we see and how are we guided when the light of the sun is not available? What guides us at night? Oh, I'm going to like that next chapter. Oh, I could keep going on. Betty talks about the moon. No, listen. The next chapter is chapter 5, The Light in Our Dreams. Our dream space. Oh my gosh, it's my favorite. Oh, see ya.